I am a Mocha Mom, and I am back to respond to an inquiry put in my inbox by one of my viewers. It says that she's having a hard time with her 11-year-old son, who she's afraid is about to fail English. And when she spoke to the teacher, she found out that he does a lot of talking in class and he didn't turn in about 80% of his work. And so she's going to fail him. So I wrote back to her trying to encourage her because she said she felt responsible, that he's failing, that she didn't do her part. And so I wrote back to her that I thought that what she needed to do is go back, talk to the teacher, find out if there's anything she could do to work with her son to try to see if he could pass the class. I don't know, maybe she'll be willing to give him extra work or allow him to turn in some of the stuff he didn't turn in. But at least try to present yourself as though you'd be willing to do whatever it takes to work with your child to see if you could save the year. If not, then some changes need to happen so that next year can look completely different than this year. Since your child is only 11, the battle is not over. You still have time to turn things around so that you have a better outcome down the line. Now, having a kid that's living in your house who is not respectful enough of what your reaction is going to be so that they're not doing their work. One thing I told her is that you need to have some type of consequences and system in place so that first your child understands exactly what your expectations of him are, and then you deliver that. So the first thing I told her was, as far as making sure he completes his homework, I in my house, we don't have TV and video games during the week. I noticed that when we get into TV and video game mode, we want to play, and sometimes it's kind of hard to pull ourselves out of that lazy mode. We just don't even go there. For recreation, they play games, they talk to each other. A lost art in families nowadays. They read books. Books are fantastic. Hands down, I enjoy a good book over a movie or a TV show any day. When I was growing up, my mother used to tell me, your only responsibility is to bring me that A. And so, you know, she wasn't sending me out to work. She was sending me to my room to hit those books. And I did bring her those A's. If you feel like you're too far gone, your family watches too much TV to just rip it out of them like that, I would at least say no TV until I've checked your work and I know that you've done it. Now, if you're working and your 11-year-old is home by themselves after school and you're not there to breathe over their shoulder to make sure, to breathe over his shoulder to make sure he's doing his work, then the least you could do is tell him that you have to see that his work is completed before he can watch TV or play his video games. And if it turns out that he's not doing his work, take the TV and the video games away. I think nowadays we have a hard time doing what it takes. Our kids are disrespectful. They're not listening to us. They're not doing what we ask them to do, but we're running around after them, driving them to soccer, driving them to ballet, driving them to karate, you know, taking them out to eat, you know, and these are all privileges and rewards. My daughter is a passionate ballet dancer. She takes 4 ballet classes a week, 3 to 4 ballet classes a week. But she understands, we tell her, ballet is a privilege. Your first responsibility as a child is to succeed in your schoolwork. If you are failing in your schoolwork, you are not doing ballet. But sometimes I think some of the struggles that we have is that we want to give our kids what we don't have. So sometimes we're almost vested in the things that are really privileges for them. And even though we know that we should take this away, sometimes it's difficult for us to do it because we want them to have it. But what I'm saying is that yes, we want them to have things that we don't have, but they're our children. They should be respecting us. They should be obeying us. How can we do a good job of parenting if they are not listening to us and following what we tell them to do? So I say, Take the privileges out. Why is he talking on the phone with his friends? Why is he going out with his friends? Why is he outside playing and he does not listen to you? Now, again, you haven't shared all these details with me, so I'm not saying this is the situation of the person who originally asked the question. But I'm asking my viewers who may be struggling with something similar. You feed your child, you make sure they have decent clothes to wear, a comfortable place to sleep, you let them know you love them. But all of this extra stuff that we have in their lives, if there is a respect issue in the house, personally, I don't think that you should be running around doing those things if your child is not respecting, listening, and towing the line. Finally, make sure your child understands what's expected of him. And then you be consistent about the consequences. That means, you may be having a good day at work. So you come home, your child doesn't do what he's supposed to do. Boom, you're on top of the consequence. You do what you're supposed to do. Next week, you're having a horrible work week. Things are going terrible. You're stressed out. You come home. Your kid didn't do their homework. You're so tired. You just want to fall in the bed. And honestly, you just don't have anything left to give. So you let them watch TV. Now, I understand being tired and not having anything left to give. But those days when you just go ahead and break your own rules and let the consequences slide are the days that speak the loudest to your kid. Okay? And takes you back I don't know how many steps. So you have to ask yourself, is it worth it for you? Sometimes just the same way you did when you were at work, you didn't go and tell your boss, sorry, I'm too tired, I can't deal with this, bye, because you knew you wouldn't have a job. When you get home and you're dealing with your kids, you have to press through it. Do what it takes. Do what it takes every time you possibly can do what it takes. I mean, I know we're not going to be perfect, but I think kids notice your general trend. They notice what you're likely to do. So let your general trend be, I'm on top of these consequences every time. Stop yelling and nagging. Sometimes we think yelling and nagging and I'm upset with you and you hurt me and this is my house and why are you doing this and why are you doing that and going on and on and on. We like to talk about our frustrations. Sometimes we think that that's a good consequence. That is not a good consequence. Kids learn very early how to tune out all that yelling and nagging and you hurt me and I'm disappointed and I'm embarrassed and that stuff does not work. Take away something that means something to them. Why do they have an iPod? Why does your child have an iPod, iPhone, all this stuff and he's not listening to you? Okay, so you do have things you can do. You do have privileges you can take away. I've saved the best for last. Praise your child. Every time he does just a little bit of what you wanted him to do with school, praise him. We like to get on them really hard when they're not doing what they're supposed to do. And when they are doing what they're supposed to do, we don't really praise them. Praise them, praise them, praise them.